Hey everyone, Josh Baldwin here with Vegan Fit, and today I want to talk to you about why vegetarianism is not enough. It's not enough of a solution to fix your health, to fix the environment, and certainly not to help animals in any meaningful way. So let's start off with your health really quickly. If you're a vegetarian right now, or you're thinking about going vegetarian, or maybe you're contemplating going vegan, this one is really simple. If you stop eating meat because you think it's bad for you, but you continue to eat eggs and dairy, then you're either incredibly ignorant to the information out there, or you're just lying to yourself. It's a really simple situation here. In most cases, the consumption of eggs or dairy are actually worse than meat. Dairy and eggs contain high levels of saturated fats, not to mention a lot of the processing that goes on in order to make that cheese that you're eating. It's got all kinds of crap and chemicals and all kinds of stuff that you don't want to put in your body. And these all eventually will lead to heart disease. The American Heart Association and the National Cholesterol Education Program both recommend less than 200 milligrams per day of dietary cholesterol. The amount of cholesterol in one egg exceeds this recommended maximum amount. The key here is they're all bad. Meat, dairy, it's all bad for you. But please don't kid yourself that dairy and eggs aren't as bad as meat for your health. Believe me, they are. Most of this stuff is really basic information that you can find out there. The only thing you want to watch out for is that if you look into this stuff, you will find a lot of information saying that vegetarians have better heart health than meat eaters. That's somewhat misleading because vegetarians generally do consume less dairy, less eggs than a meat eater would consume meat or dairy or eggs for themselves. So you're consuming far less of it, so of course you're going to have better results. But there's no question that the items that you're eating, the dairy and the eggs, are bad for you. Now let's move on to the reason that vegetarianism is definitely not enough. And that is dealing with the animals. In many ways, by consuming dairy, you're actually causing more animal suffering than by eating meat. I know this sounds crazy, but if you have to understand what goes on in these animal agriculture farms, the egg and dairy industry treat these animals even worse and torture them for a far longer time period than the meat industries. Where typically in the meat industry, these animals are raised quickly and they're killed as soon as they can get what they want out of them, which is obviously still terrible, but it's a much shorter life than what goes on in the egg and dairy industry. And you have to ask yourself, would you rather be raised and killed within a year, or would you rather be physically and mentally tortured for 5 or 6 years before leading to that same exact death? Another thing a lot of people don't realize is the massive numbers of wildlife killed by the USDA to protect the meat and dairy industry. In 2015, the USDA claimed to have killed 3.2 million animals to protect the egg and dairy industries. There's absolutely no such thing as humane animal farming. Animal agriculture is a globalized business whose only motive is profit, which leads to horrendous conditions for the animals. As soon as the animals, like chickens or cows, stop producing, they are slaughtered. So you may feel like you're not directly influencing their death, but believe me, you are. Milk cows are a great example of this. Milk cows typically die by the time they're 5 years old, whereas in the wild, they live up to 18 years old. How are you saving lives here? You may be delaying their lives and allowing them to put up with a horrible, tortured lifestyle, but you're certainly not saving any animal lives by being a vegetarian. You may think that you're not directly leading to the death of male chicks, for example, but you're supporting an industry that grinds them alive by the billions. You're supporting an industry that kills over 150,000 male chicks every single day. That's 150,000 male chicks that are just born and immediately thrown into a large grinding machine to be ground alive, or in some places, they just take them and throw them in a bag to suffocate and starve to death. Think of what the life of a hen is like next time you eat those eggs. Hens lay 12 eggs per year in the wild, and yet they lay over 300 while in captivity. Just think about what that does to their bodies and imagine the pain of that process. Of course, all of that comes after they've had their beaks burned off while they're wide awake. So even if we could produce milk and eggs in a pain-free way without killing the animals, we would still be confining them and abusing them in any way we seem fit to maximize profits. If you're still wearing fur or alligator skin, if you think that's okay, just think about this for a second. Alligators typically live 50 to 60 years in the wild, but are killed within 5 years for their skin and live in disgustingly cruel conditions. So again, you may not support the murder of alligators directly, but you're cutting off 90% of their life. So I don't know how you could quite justify that as not murdering them. Now, I could make an entire video discussing the horrible practices of the fur industry, but let's go ahead and move on to the environment here. This is also a large concern for a lot of vegetarians and vegans out there, but this one is really obvious if you're considering vegetarianism because of the environment, or you're considering going vegan for the environment. This one is really cut and dry. Obviously, it's better for the environment to be a vegetarian, it's better to be a vegan, but let's talk about the difference here. Studies show that being a vegetarian helps reduce carbon emissions by about 25%. Well, that sounds great. You're doing a good job there if you care about the environment, but if you're a vegan, you can reduce carbon emissions by nearly 60%. That is an enormous difference. So if you're doing this primarily for the environment, there's no question about it that veganism is the right way to go. If you're a vegetarian out there and you're still not convinced, let me just try to paint you a picture real quick that I want you to kind of close your eyes and think about for a second. Just imagine being a mother cow, having your newborn baby, and then seeing it immediately dragged from you the moment it's born to never see them again. And think of what it would be like to be dragged from your mother when being born, never to see her again, and wake up immediately in this horribly cruel world that you're going to experience for the next several years until you're slaughtered. Is that fair for any creature? Is that fair for anybody? Just because that animal is not being slaughtered immediately for meat, does that sound like a fair life for any creature on this planet? So I hope all you vegetarians out there that are watching understand that what you're doing as a vegetarian is just not good enough. Sure, it might be a little bit better for your health here or there. It might be a little bit better for the environment, but it's definitely not better for the animals. It possibly is even worse for the animals. So join the vegan lifestyle. Try it out. I know that you can do it. I'll never go vegan. That's what every vegan says before they go vegan. And once you do it, it's unbelievably easy. And especially when you know all the good that you're doing and all the suffering that you're preventing, trust me, it's worth it. Go vegan today. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comment section. I'd love to hear from your stories about going vegan, or if you're a vegetarian and you're still on the fence and you need some more motivation or more information, please let me know. I'd be glad to help you out. If you guys like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys at the next video.